Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time to dive back into the Vive. If you don't know, I'm actually a music teacher in my real life and I just found the application I've been dreaming about all this time and I didn't know. Here we find ourselves in Soundstage, a program that allows you to basically sample music, mix it together, use a bunch of gadgets in order to mix a beat, etc, etc. It is still in early access and so many more features are hopefully to come. I am really excited for this program. In this first episode we are going to explore a bunch of these features just to introduce you to the program, and in future episodes we're gonna create whole songs together. So what you can see here is the main menu where we can spawn a bunch of gadgets and we can also see the beats per minute. The first thing I want to grab myself are the tapes right here. These are basically a bunch of samples that come with the game currently. Hopefully there are gonna be added many more categories and many more samples, but for the time being we have drums, glitches, noises, sci-fi sounds, etc, etc. So why don't we go ahead and have a listen to a few of these samples. For that I'm gonna grab myself a sampler and we're just gonna maybe grab this hi-hat here, if I manage to grab it. There we go. And we can listen to the sound. We can even change the frequency right here so it goes a little bit faster or slower and therefore will sound a little bit differently. There are other ways to influence stuff, especially with the oscillator. You can do a lot of things. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Anyway, now that we have this sample ready, let's actually go ahead and make use of it. We're going to grab one of these sequencers and you can see this thing right here is going at a steady pace, and of course we can hook up various sounds to those and make them actually sound at certain intervals. So for instance I could enable all of these guys and then hook up the sampler right there. Right here. There we go. Now it worked. Now we can hear the sound go off every time we go to the next square. Maybe let's even increase the speed of the beat a little bit, go double time, and we're going to expand this slightly by 1, 2, 3, 4 more squares right there. And then we're gonna enable all of those. Right, the next thing we want to do is maybe grab another sample. Let's go with a kick. Maybe this first kick is already doing the trick for us. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound too bad. It is a deep bass. Maybe we can make it even deeper. Oh, yeah, that seems to be okay with me. Okay, so the kick we're actually gonna hook up with this guy, and then we are going to need yet another thing, maybe a snare. Let's go with snare 1. Don't really like the sound of it, but let's try snare 2. No. What do we have in the acoustic section? Snare 6. Yeah, that is not too bad. Maybe a little bit of a lower frequency. There we go. That seems to be alright. We're gonna hook this up to our middle guy right here. Great, now we basically want to do a beat that sounds like doom, bam, doom, doom, bam. So let's shut this off for the time being. Doom, bam, doom, no, doom, doom, bam. Something like that. And enable it again. Come on. Yeah, that seems to be fine. Now, the beat is still a little bit slow. Let's go with maybe 100 beats per minute. Yeah, I kind of would like to expand this even further. Can I go with 16 beats? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, or maybe double the length. That will already do the trick for me. So we're gonna enable all of these guys on the top, then do dum, bum, 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 bum. Something like that. Yeah, we take that. Let's actually put this a little bit out of the way, and oh, the cables are all messed up. Hopefully they will clean up themselves. Yeah, if I pull a little bit here, then they clean up themselves. We're just gonna leave it there for the time being. Maybe we can even add a special effect to it. I'm gonna disable it for the time being, and we're gonna grab ourselves another sampler and maybe have a look into the sci-fi section. Alien Chatter. Let's check that out. Yeah, no, let's check out Alien Chatter 1. I'm actually more looking for like one sound, but that is really long stretched. Let's try this one. Yeah, that is actually not too bad. I think we're gonna add some effects to that actually. Let's see, can I shut it up for the time being? What we can do is actually grab a speaker and hook up the output with the speaker, and now I should be able to make this smaller so the sound isn't as loud anymore for the time being. Okay, I would like this sound to actually go off right here at the first spot. So maybe we already create a new line and enable this guy. Yeah. And we can actually hook this up right away. Come on, where's the hooking up thing? There we go. Okay. So do I need the speaker anymore? I don't think so. Oh, holy cow, stop it! Let's just shut it off for the time being. There we go. Okay, what I want to do is influence this sound a little bit by making it louder and maybe higher and lower. And we do this with the oscillator thingamajiggy. Yeah, you know what I mean. This guy, we can set this guy to, for instance, a low frequency, and then maybe we want the waves to go something like this, increase the decibels a little bit so the wave goes up and down. So every time it goes down, it will activate the sound, I think, especially if we hook it up correctly. So maybe we are actually gonna need a splitter for that. There we go. So now we can hook up the output with the splitter, and we have two outputs now. So we could influence the speed or the volume. And yeah, maybe let's first just control the volume and check out what happens. If we disconnect this, then theoretically we should be hearing something different now. So I'm gonna bring up the volume here, and you will be able to hear every time the wave goes down, it also shuts off the volume. So we could go with a different wave, for instance this one, right? And then we do more decibels, something like that, make it a little bit faster. Yeah, why not? Let's go with that. So we don't really need the splitter here. We're just gonna hook this up like so, and bring this to the back and hook this guy up again. There we go. Now, enable this guy. So there we go, you get the basic gist of the sequencer. This is a really great thing. However, there are more things to actually show you. So let me quickly get rid of everything by creating a new world, and this time we're gonna pick out the keyboard. Yeah, there's actually a keyboard right there. Okay, right, of course we can play the piano normally, that is absolutely the case. However, we can also influence the sounds. For instance, with the oscillator, all we want to do is hook up the output right here, and now the sounds are going to be different depending on what I do with this thing. For instance, now I can make the sound with a different wave pattern, or I could also make the waves a little bit slower and more aggressive. Not sure, I think I'm doing something wrong. Let's actually pick out a drum thingy-majiggy. You can hear it doesn't really do anything, but we should be able to potentially hook this guy up. Right, no, not there. Where's the output of this thing? Oh man, I really have to look into these things. I'm not so sure about that. But what we could do theoretically is pick out a sampler and get any one of these samples in here and then hook them up with this guy. And now whenever I hit this drum, then the sound appears. We also, of course, have some maracas ready for us to use. We can hook them up to a certain sound effect and do crazy things. Then the speakers I already told you about, make them bigger or smaller. And then there is the control cube, which actually has 3 outputs. So for instance, I could take a sample, this one right here. Doesn't really matter, and you can see there's a speed control input and a volume control input. So we hook those guys up to our X and Y coordinates here, or values, or inputs. And now we can actually move this around in order to do crazy effects on the go, such as this. We can of course also turn these knobs separately if we wish to do so. But it is kind of crazy, so that's what the cube is for here, the control cube. Then what else do we have? The recorder. Of course, the recorder is an awfully great thing. Get out of the way. The recorder can be hooked up, for instance, to the piano right there, and we can expand it as far as we want. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 bars, I guess. No, I think that's actually the beat, right? So let's try to up that a little bit. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 beats. Something like that. We could record 8 beats or so. And I don't know, hit the record button, I guess, and then we could do something like... Oh, I didn't have enough space for that. Maybe let's try this again. I want to make sure that I'm making this bar large enough. Something like that. Yeah, that is definitely gonna work out. So... It's not that easy, don't judge me. I can do this in real life a little bit better. Oh well, but it is still a lot of fun. So I would say to wrap up the episode, we're actually gonna have a look at the samples that are provided by the game. So there is, for instance, a rhythm sample. Let's check this out. You can see they have, for instance, hooked up the maracas to this instrument right here. It is hooked up with a splitter going into the volume control and the frequency control, and you can see if as soon as I shake the maracas, then the frequency and the volume are gonna change. It's hooked up to a speaker here. Same thing happens right here, but this time with a sample, so we can do some DJ effects. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Then right here we have hooked it up to one of these osteopromoters, also hooked up to a speaker, and you can hear the sound. Even though it is a drum, you can basically hook up any sound you want to these drums and enable them by slashing them with the sticks. Next up, we have a sample hooked up to a drum, so that is also possible. And what else do we have? I think that's all for this sample. Let's have a look at the synthesizer sample of the game. Yeah, there we go. Here it is hooked up to a mixer. This is one of the things I haven't shown you yet here, the mixer. And you can basically hook up 4 inputs and then decide on how loud they are in relation to each other. And you can also see, for instance, these guys, they influence the outcome of this guy, which influences other stuff, and it is basically crazy what you can do. I'm really looking forward to do more stuff with it. Then right here we have the example with the cubes that you can move around freely and do some crazy effects. And last but not least, we have a piano hooked up to this guy, so the sound is actually influenced. And you can see as soon as we turn, also the sound is going to change. Pretty dope, I have to say. Let's have a look at the sequencer example last. And here you can already see something similar we did before, but there are more sounds running on the sides, and there are actually 2 sequencers at the same time. However, they cannot yet be synced up. I'm looking forward to that feature. But yeah, overall, I would say this game is pretty darn cool. I'm really looking forward to create entire loops together with you from scratch, where we do really cool stuff, hopefully also creating our own samples, etc, etc. But with that out of the way, I would say we're gonna wrap up the episode. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great time and see you soon. Bye bye.